start. Good evening. Thank you for being here this evening. This is the City Council meeting for Thursday, April the 15th at 6 p.m. At this time, we will stand. Pastor Raul Torres from Main Street Mission will give the invocation, and then we will turn for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day. We bless you, Father God, because you are the Lord over the city. We pray for our city leaders that even thought they may not know what to do in tough times, their eyes will be fixed on you. Lord, grant them wisdom and help them to remember that the knowledge and the understanding comes from you, Father God. We thank you, Lord, for granting wisdom for our city leaders. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please face the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated.
We serve.
Okay, at this time, I'll ask the city clerk, Ms. Skelton, to do roll call.
Ms. Crew? Here. Mr. Harris?
Here.
Mr. Tripp?
Here.
Mr. Olson? Mr. Harrell?
Here.
Mr. Westcott?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Brown?
Here.
Mr. Keller?
Here.
Mayor Harris?
Here.
Mr. Smith?
Here. Thank you. Thank you very much. Council, in your packet, you do have the meeting minutes from March the 18th. Can I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve. Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Westcott and a second from Ms. Crew. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion does carry. This time, Ms. Johnson, will you give us the financial report?
General fund revenues for March were $1,416,233, which is 15% above budget. Tax receipts were $852,261, and franchise fees and permits were $390,475. Tax revenue comparison, city and county sales tax on a year-to-date basis. In 2021, we've received city tax, sales tax of $1,233,475, compared to the same time period last year where we received $1,143,005. At the county level, we have received $1,419,029, compared to the same time period last year, $1,300,022. So an increase over prior year for the city taxes of 8% and county is 9%. Now, when you look at city and county sales tax actual versus budget, year to date, we're ahead of budget by the city by 7% and county is 9%. General fund expenditures for March were $1,146,049, which is 1% above budget. 442,509 more received than spent. Street fund revenues for March were $730,192, which is comprised of new sales tax of $538,172, state turnback and ad valorem taxes of $113,638, half-cent road sales tax of $55,806, interest of $21,289, street cutting permits of 1,100 and other of 331. Street operating revenue is 1% below year-to-date projections. March operational expenditures for the street fund were $165,060. Sales tax improvement spending was $208,716, which was for South Houston drainage projects, drainage maintenance, overlay, and Inglewood. For economic development, the March revenues were $80,094, new sales tax of $76,882, and interest of $3,212. March expenditures were $50,832, which was for the purchase of a tractor for Parks and Recs of $39,743 and equipment for police department new vehicles of $11,089. The balance of the various economic development funds as of March 31st, 2021 were: the 2003 fund, $1,526,821.40. The 2007 fund, $1,013,904.98. The 2014 fund was $1,192,880.67. And for the first time, we're reporting on the 2021 fund, where receipts were $76,894.36. March revenues for capital assets was $91,948. This was done from a transfer for $47,600 for upgrades on the phone systems and transfer of $43,771 for the purchase of defibrillators and interest of $577. March expenditures were $163,895. $140,091 was for Hickey backstops, and an RFD vehicle was purchased for $23,804. And for the first time, the 2021 1-cent sales tax slide. We've not spent any yet, and you realize there was no appropriations for spending. There was nothing in the budget for them. We just budgeted for the revenue. So any spending on these will require appropriations submitted through the council. So we received for the street fund $538,260. For the RFD and LPD capital, $76,894. For the parks, $76,894. And for economic development, $76,894. Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Okay, Mayor's report. You know, I was at a meeting this morning with the Alliance, and Christy Graham was there in attendance, and she started talking about the things that are going on in our community right now and in the summer. You know, we've got Russ Vegas starts tomorrow, and in May, we've got our balloon festival coming up, and that's going to be exciting. We've got more balloons coming, hot air balloons coming to our community than we've ever had before. And we also have, I think she said 30 wood carvers going to be here that weekend to take a block of wood and a chainsaw and create something neat out of it. We've got a bike festival coming up this fall. I see Danielle's here, and we've got art walk starting up in our community again. It's just an exciting time in Russellville. You know, last year with everything going on with the pandemic, and the stress and all the concerns with the COVID, it's just refreshing that our community is seeing a lot of new activity. It's springtime, you know, the sun's shining. So I hope that our community is enjoying what's going on now and what's coming up ahead. So I wanted to talk real quickly to inform the council about our Code Enforcement Day that we had in March. I had a friend of mine that his daughter works as a code enforcement officer. I'm sorry, not a code, but a planner, city planner in another community. And he told me that they had what they called a Code Enforcement Day. And so I thought it was such a great idea. I talked to Sarah Johndal, and we put it together here. And on that day in March, we actually spread it out. We gave the department head several days to do this. But each department head was assigned an area in the city to drive through. They were given a violation checklist, a description of what items are violations, and they were given this, and they drove around our community to find out the areas that there were code violations. Of those, and it was very successful in that 95 potential violations were identified by our department heads as they went around the community in the various areas. Of those 95 issues that were identified, 28 were issues that had already been identified by code enforcement. 10 of those were not code violations, or they had already been cleaned up by the time the code enforcement officer went out to check. 59 were violations and were noted. And since then, 10 of those have been cleaned up and closed out. And the reason that this was such a success is that it brings the city department, you know, all together to try to clean up the city of Russellville. We all want to take pride in our community. We want it to look good. And so when we all start pulling together to identify these issues that need to be corrected, it bears fruit. And that's just an example, I think, of your city working to provide you with the prettiest and most effective way to make our community look good so that we can take pride in it. But I wanted to just give that information to the council to let them know that we are taking this issue seriously, and we're doing, we're taking all kind of efforts to improve the quality of life in Russellville. Item number 2 in the mayor's report is consideration of reappointment of Tyler Riley to the Russellville Advertising and Promotion Commission for a 4-year term. This was submitted by Christy Graham. This is a reappointment, not a new appointment. What is the desire of the council?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, at this time, we'll have a department report by Kenneth Duval. And Kenneth has promised me this will not be excruciatingly long.
You have my word. Mayor, City Council, I appreciate the opportunity to let y'all know what we're doing in Public Works. Been very busy, and we pretty much stay busy, so I want to start with some of the projects that we did. We're in East Parkway Avenue. The intersection would flood after a quick rain event, so we installed a new drainage system, and while we were there, we extended the eastbound left turn lane. This is one of the catch basins that we put in. Another project was West 4th Street, South Phoenix Avenue. The drainage was deteriorated, so we ended up putting a new system here. And also, due to the heavy school traffic, we installed a left turn lane to help clear that out a little quicker. Our South Inglewood project, it lasted a couple years to get it done. It's a complete street. We have multi-purpose sidewalks, of course, new lights. We installed new drainage, catch basin, and even have a bike trail there. This picture is looking south down Inglewood, South Inglewood, and you can see it's a very nice street. East Parkway in Elmira. When we would get a rain, this street would hold water after the rain events. So we basically did the same thing here. We installed a new drainage system, and it seems to be working good. Interstate 40 on and off ramps. We put in 42 light poles, and one of the reasons we did was because like me, I'm getting where I don't see as great anymore. So when you would exit off the interstate, it would be hard to see the exits without lighting. So that's helped that out. Tanglewood and Eastwood Drive. This was a drainage project where the pipe was very small and it couldn't handle all the water runoff from the hill. As you can see there, all the pipe on the side of the street, that's what was installed, and on the right is the finished product. Pinecrest and Pine Hill Drive. This drainage had collapsed, so actually the Public Works Department did this work, and they did a great job. We installed new drainage and installed a new catch basin. For sidewalk maintenance, we did 3,863 feet in the last year. Over Atlanta streets, we did 5.7 miles, and this is one of the streets that was done. This is looking south on South Vancouver. Waco Pond Trails, there was no connectivity for people to walk in what we call the part that's a park. So we installed an asphalt trail and connected the trails, but as the subdivision, I believe it's called Overland Park, As it is developed, we actually put in a concrete walkway there, so they have an easy way to get to the park and walk the track, so to speak, if they want to. Street department, we have many responsibilities. I'll just name a few. We mow and we do ditch cleaning, we do concrete work, and of course they're always on emergency calls. This was actually one of the calls. This was after a storm, so we had to come in and do a little bit of tree cutting there because it was blocking the street. Here you can see we're dipping ditches, and that's a catch basin that we actually built in-house. So they do good work. Our traffic department, we're, main job, signal lights, signs, street lights, pavement markings. They also do emergency calls. Big thing they've been doing is upgrading all the traffic signals. Thanks to the council for approving some new components, and that's coming along very well. Engineering department, very busy, I can tell you. They'll tell you that they're very busy. So what they do is review the plans, manage projects, and they design some of the projects. And they're very good at what they do. So the city is lucky to have them. For our fleet maintenance, we have one technician, believe it or not, but he is very good. He does the maintenance on all of our public works equipment, not all city, but he also does maintenance on police vehicles, for instance, changing oil, brakes, things like that. But he also comes in on emergency calls when needed. GIS department, they publish data to the public through our GIS department, and they help other departments with spatial analysis. And there's Mr. Trimble there's a lot of experience there, and he's very good at what he does. That's all I have, Mayor, and any questions?
Questions for Kenneth? Thank you for that, Mrs. Ruth. I tell you, I couldn't be prouder of Public Works. Kenneth has done a great job with that department, and they have provided so much benefit to the community, and they're still just as busy going forward in the future to provide more benefits. So, I think Public Works is kind of the unsung hero of our community, actually. So thank you, Kenneth, for that. Okay, moving forward, Personnel Committee. Mr. Harrell, is there anything you'd like to bring to the table?
No report tonight, Mayor.
No report, thank you. And with that, I will turn this over to the Finance Committee, Mr. Westcott.
Thank you, Mayor. Item number 1 from our April 6th Finance meeting is consideration of a resolution that would certify local government endorsement of Rockline Industries to participate in the tax back program, and we present that as a motion to adopt.
All right, I do have a motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 2 is an appropriation request from the City General Fund, the sum of $12,000 to be used for the Historic District Grant Pass-Through, and we present that as a motion to adopt.
Okay, I do have a motion. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 3 is consideration for reimbursement of the February expenses for the Arkansas Valley Alliance for Economic Development in the amount of $4,242.02, and we present that as a motion to adopt.
Do have a motion. Is there a second? I'm sorry, we don't need a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 4 is consideration for reimbursement of the first quarter expenses for the Russellville Boys and Girls Club in the amount of $20,000, and we present that as a motion to adopt.
Thank you for that motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 5 is an appropriation request from the City General Fund in the sum of $4,408 to be used for a pass-through for the educational contract repayment to replenish the training expense budget at the Fire Department, and we present that as a motion to adopt.
I have a motion. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 6 is consideration of a resolution that would allow the opening of a bank account to create a restricted fund for the funds that we would receive to the city by the Department of Finance and Administration of the State of Arkansas, and we present that as a motion to adopt.
Have a motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 7 is consideration of an ordinance to approve a new water supply agreement between Tri-County Regional Water Distribution District and City Corporation, and to determine the rights and obligations of any successor of City Corporation under the said water supply agreement. And we present that as a motion to suspend the rules, dispense with the reading requirement, read one time by title only.
Okay, I have a motion to suspend the rules, dispense with the reading requirements, read by title only, for one time
One
only.
time.
Can I get, is that,
Second.
all right, I got a second, just to be clear on that. And all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
An ordinance to approve a new water supply agreement between Tri-County Regional Water Distribution District and City Corporation to determine the rights and obligations of any successor of City Corporation under said water supply agreement, repealing ordinance number 1980, and for other purposes. This ordinance, if passed, would adopt the agreement between Tri-County and City Corporation. It would replace and nullify the old agreement, existing agreement currently in place, and would repeal ordinance number 1980, which adopted the previous agreement.
Okay, motion to adopt.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. I do have a motion to adopt and a second from Mr. Tripp. Discussion?
Mr. Mallett, has Tri-County, are they in agreement? Have they voted on this agreement?
Yes, sir. Both boards, our board and Tri-County boards, have passed this agreement at previous meetings.
Okay.
Mr. Mallett, should this ordinance pass this evening, is there a need for the emergency clause, and if so, what is that need?
The next rate adjustment wouldn't be till January 1st of next year, so, I mean, I wouldn't say there's any pressing need
Okay.
that would create an issue with.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Mallett or any other discussion items? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, from our meeting this evening at 5:30, item number 1 is consideration for reimbursement for the March expenses for the Arkansas Valley Alliance in the amount of $5,441.35, and we present that as a motion to adopt.
Okay, I do have a motion. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Items number 2 and 2B. Number 2 is discussion and consideration of a resolution that would accept the bid for the Russellville Municipal Airport for improvements and repairs to Taxiway B. Item number 2B is the appropriation for that in the amount of $676,047, and this is a pass-through of a grant from the FAA, and we present items 2 and 2B as a motion to adopt.
I have a motion. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor, that's the last on our agenda, and I yield the floor back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Westcott. At this time, we'll go to unfinished old business, item number 1, which is consideration of an ordinance vacating and abandoning the right-of-way between Lot 1, Block 88, and Lot 6, Block 89 of the J.L. Shin addition. This is the third and final reading. What is the desire of council?
Mayor, I move that we dispense with the reading requirement, read by title only with a short explanation.
Understand? I have a motion to dispense with the reading requirements, read by title only with a short explanation for the third and final reading. Second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Brown. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
An ordinance vacating and abandoning the right-of-way between Lot 1, Block 88, and Lot 6, Block 89, the J.L. Shin addition, City of Russellville, Pope County, Arkansas, and for other purposes. This ordinance, if passed, would vacate the aforementioned legal description, which is a undeveloped right-of-way between those two blocks.
Motion to adopt?
I do have a motion to adopt. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Brown. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor, are you aware of any need for an emergency clause on this?
Victoria, is there a need for emergency clause associated with this ordinance? No?
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. New business, item number 1, a public hearing for the vacation of a portion of right-of-way between lots 4 and 6 and lots 7 and 9 of Block 4 of the Madison White Edition. So at this time, I will open the floor up for a public hearing. Anyone here signed up or wanting to speak on this item? Hearing none, I will now close the public hearing, and we will move to item 1A, consideration of an ordinance vacating and abandoning the right-of-way between lots 4 and 6 and lots 7 and 9 of the Madison White Edition.
Mayor, I move that we dispense with the reading requirement, read the first of 3 readings by title with a short explanation.
Second.
I have a motion for the first of 3 readings, dispensing with the reading requirement, read by title only, with a short explanation. And I have a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
An ordinance vacating and abandoning right-of-way between lots 4 through 6 and lots 7 through 9, Block 4, Madison White Edition, City of Russellville, Pope County, Arkansas. And for other purposes, this ordinance, if passed, would vacate the aforementioned right-of-way between lots 4 through 6 and lots 7 through 9 of Block 4 of the Madison White subdivision.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Item number 2 is consideration of a resolution to make the City of Russellville, Arkansas, a sanctuary city for the unborn. This was submitted by Mayor Richard Harris and Rick Harrell. What is the desire of the council?
Mayor, I make a motion that we adopt this resolution. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. And I do have some citizens who have signed up to speak on this issue. So at this time, I would like to give the floor over to Mr. Alan George. Mr. George, I'll give you 3 minutes to speak to us.
Thank you, Mayor. I hope I don't take that long. Good evening. Most of y'all know me. My name's Alan George, proud citizen of Russellville and currently residing in Ward 2. As stated, I'm here tonight to speak to you on new business item agenda number 2. As a father of 2 healthy children and 1 unborn child, or 1 miscarried child, and a nephew of a stillborn nephew, this holds a place in my heart. I'll always wonder what those lives could have been. I support this resolution tonight as someone that values all human lives, something I'm confident that most all of our citizens in Russellville do. You notice I said most. I understand that some of you are feeling some pressure from folks in the community that may not share this same sentiment. I challenge you that if you're waiting to vote or to act on an item that all the people in the city are going to support, you'll be waiting a long time to act on anything. And even not making an action is making an action. So I challenge you to unanimously support this action to demonstrate to all the folks in Russellville that Russellville is a city that values all human lives, that of the unborn child, as well as the mother that's in that struggling situation to make the decision. They need our care, our love, and our support so that they can make the right decision, what I believe is the right decision, and when they're faced with that choice to either destroy or give birth to the life that's growing inside them. So I challenge you to unanimously support this resolution that is placed before you this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. George. Very well put. Also, I have Dr. Simmons signed up to speak on this issue. Dr. Simmons? Please state your name.
My name is Dr. Don A. Simmons, Jr. Good evening. As I stated, my name is Don Simmons. I've been a long-standing member of the Russellville community, serving the River Valley as both founder and owner of Parkway Dental. I've served the last 13 years, in addition, outside of Arkansas's only surgical abortion clinic as a sidewalk counselor And as a result, my family has seen many children saved. I state the above so that you'll know that this is more than just a passing interest for our family. And I'm here in support of this resolution to make Russellville a sanctuary city for the preborn based upon the 3 following points. Number 1, human life is precious to God. We are his image bearers, and as such, God has given us very specific laws that prohibit the taking of innocent lives, and has even prescribed punishment for those who take life both outside and inside the womb. The taking of innocent life is murder, as objectively stated in the 6th commandment, you shall not murder. The shedding of the innocent blood of a human requires capital punishment, whether that life was born or preborn. God states that whoever sheds the blood of man, by man shall his blood be shed, for God made man in his own image. God's law also lays out the punishment for a child harmed or killed within the womb, which also states in part, life for life. Perhaps some of you are committed to a humanist worldview, but I would posit that without the Bible as our only source of truth, there can be no absolute truth, and hence no objective standards for ethics or morality. No other worldview can account for these standards, and as someone once said, if there is no objective morality, then there's no difference between a man killing his dog to feed his son and a man killing his son to feed his dog. Give that some thought. And it is this humanist worldview that's resulted in the genocide of over 60 million of U.S. citizens over the last 40-something years. Point number 2, life begins at conception. This is not arguable and is clearly stated in the Bible and confirmed by science. Having spent much of my educational career studying both biology and chemistry, I can tell you from a scientific standpoint that the moment the sperm penetrates an egg, a change occurs, a new individual is formed with the DNA separate and distinct from either his mother or his father. This is not negotiable. Point number 3, it is the duty of you, civil magistrates of Russellville, to make decrees and laws which reward good and punish evil, as outlined by Romans 13 and other scriptures. This means that it is your duty as civil magistrates to codify into law and our resolutions those things that provide protection for the most helpless of Russellville citizens, those without a voice and without a means to provide for their own protection. I simply ask you to do your sworn duty to protect all life, both born and preborn, by passing this resolution to make Russellville a sanctuary city for the preborn. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Simmons. Dr. Simmons. And finally, just signed up to speak is Ms. Christy Renfro from the Choices Pregnancy Center here in Russellville, Arkansas.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm excited to be here this evening. I want to speak on behalf of Choices, and as we are your life-affirming organization here in the River Valley, we cover Pope and Yell County, and we are incredibly blessed to have the opportunity to meet with the families that are making the decisions of which Dr. Simmons just spoke of. So I would like to speak on their behalf. When a family comes in, and I want to speak on the behalf of the mother, she's facing multiple decisions, and fear is the number one driver of abortion. And I know that abortion is the topic when you speak pro-life. You're oftentimes speaking of a political stance, pro-life, pro-choice, that kind of thing. And we like to say life-affirming, and what that means for us is because we are taking care of the whole family. So mother's making a decision, and we have a 15-year-old client that's a young man right now, and he made a decision as well, and he's made a decision to take parenting classes every week, and he's fighting for the life of his baby along with his girlfriend, and they are not married, but they're earning diapers every week, and they're earning a car seat, and they're learning, and what they're doing through that process is they are changing the generation of their family unit. And through that process, this child is going to be raised by two parents that they're babies, they're young. However, they have some education and some empowerment behind them, and they are intentional, and they're earning diapers and wipes. And I know that may seem like a small thing, but financially that's a huge thing to their family. And believe it or not, the grandmother is the one that drives them over an hour to come and see us every week. So when I talk about changing generations, there's a huge impact. And I know I'm admitting my age, but next year will be my 20th year at Choices, and that's a long time to watch families over and over. And they come back to us, and they come back for a reason, and that reason is because they have a foundation of hope put under them by a team that is incredibly compassionate, is incredibly loving, and offers them the hope of Jesus Christ when they don't know that's what they need. So this, for our community as a whole and overall, will impact generations. It means as a community, we are willing to fight for families. So if we're willing to cheer our children on the ball field and on the basketball court, then we need to be willing to cheer our children on with the decisions that they make throughout their life, from their education to music to academics, to also the things that are untimely and unplanned, and challenge them because those things happen. And I know I'm speaking about the young clients that we have, but this carries over into clients that are my own age, that are late 30s, early 40s, and they're married and they're facing decisions. So from the unborn, when they're making a decision about parenting, adoption, then it covers, Life Affirming covers everything that we're talking about. It covers families that are in a DHS situation and they're fighting to get their children back. Okay, they're coming and they're taking parenting classes and they're fighting for that right. And what they're learning in that process is how to be strong, like hardcore family units. And what that speaks to their children is, I'm willing to fight for you. I'm willing to give you the best future possible. And it's all built upon a foundation of hope and ultimately the love of Jesus Christ, and that's what they find when they come to Choices. So I appreciate your consideration. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Christy, and wish you well with the Choices Pregnancy Center. I hope that's definitely an asset to our community. Thank you very much. That's all. Final speaker that signed up tonight. Discussion by the council.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to address a couple things. One, this resolution was predicated some by the state legislature by passing the law. Now that law has not come into effect. It will be, the 90 days before it becomes effective. But the U.S. Supreme Court has already affirmed that cities have the right to take positions on this subject. And even the Arkansas Supreme Court has affirmed that. But in the law that was passed here this session in the Arkansas legislature, our representative and our senator both voted for this act. So the act kind of predicated this particular resolution. And so for me, it was personal on a couple levels. I'll share just a couple stories on that. We had neighbors 2 houses down from us when our kids were growing up. They had 3 girls and became pregnant a 4th time. And during that pregnancy, the mother found out that there was issues with the baby, and there was a chance that the baby would not even draw a first breath. But she made the choice, her and her family made the choice to carry the baby to term. Well, when term came, and a lot of prayers were answered, obviously, well, that baby is now a student at the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville and doing very well. But at this very moment, I have a niece in Oklahoma. She's pregnant with her 2nd child. The skull is not formed properly, and this baby will not live, maybe just a short period of time. And they knew that early enough in the pregnancy that if abortion was an issue, they could have exercised that, but they didn't. They love this baby, and it's an everyday event that they're carrying this baby to term. And we hear the stories of the movement and the growth of this child, and they're going to have that baby, and that baby will be forever part of their lives, even if it's only for a short period of time on this earth. And so I realized that a pregnancy is a special thing for a woman. I have no concept of that, but I do have a concept of life. And I believe that every life deserves the opportunity for us to protect it. And I think this resolution shows a community effort to let people know that we value life in Russellville, and it begins at conception.
Any other discussion?
Yes, Mayor. Now, I agree most of what the men said, okay, but I'm also in the thought that the state is involved in this process and making laws. And I think that I'm satisfied, and they're going to speak for me. I don't think it's necessary for the city to be making laws, and the state's already making them. So my point being is I don't want to start duplicating or going beyond what the state is saying. So thank you.
This isn't a law, though, it's just a resolution.
Correct, correct.
Correct. State.
Any other discussion?
Yes. If I understand it right, we are not here this evening to debate the merits of abortion. In fact, this resolution will not in any way prevent abortions from taking place. If a medical doctor decides to open up a clinic tomorrow morning and perform this procedure all day long, there's absolutely nothing that this resolution will do to prevent that. We understand that. So we're not here to debate the merits of abortion. What we're here doing this evening is to determine whether this council or any council has the moral and medical qualifications to determine your medical care. Now, today we may declare that this city is against a medical procedure that you are also against. And tomorrow we may declare that this city is against a medical procedure that may very well save your life. It's not our place to do either one. This city is home to families of all walks of life and all different beliefs. And those families are who we represent. And we recognize that this is it's both a moral and a medical issue, very sensitive. I have a few questions for those who, for the two who put forward this resolution. What were the results of the survey that was taken of all the licensed ministers in the city of Russellville on this topic? That's right, there are no results of that. What were the results of the survey of all the obstetricians and gynecologists in the city of Russellville about this topic? That's right, they were not asked either. What were the results of the survey of all the registered voters in the city of Russellville? There are no results because they were never asked. What are the results of even those who participated in the ward meetings that we had last year? Oh, they weren't asked either. So to the ones who sponsored this resolution, I ask, who did you ask? I don't know. So what we're doing, if we approve this evening, what we're doing is we are telling the 30,000 residents of Russellville that this is your opinion. Whether you like it or not, this is now your official opinion. And yet we have absolutely no idea about their medical situations or their religious beliefs. We nine up here, are not morally or medically qualified to declare an educated official position on behalf of the citizens of Russellville. So how many on this council are licensed ministers? No hands. How many on this council are practicing obstetricians or gynecologists? 0. So we are not morally or medically qualified to declare an educated official position, even on behalf of this 9-member council. The point is that this resolution declares an official position regarding a medical procedure. Now, we admit that not one single member of this governing body is morally or medically qualified to make such a statement, and that it is not within the realm of our expertise in any way, shape, or form to declare an official opinion. Now, we have our own personal opinions, but as a body, we are not qualified to declare an official position on behalf of all the citizens of Russellville regarding any medical procedure.
Mr. Westcott, when you say a moral decision, I've spent my whole career, my whole life protecting people who can't protect themselves. I mean, I don't understand about the moral. I mean, it's morally wrong to kill anything. I mean, a human life. That's my stand on it. And when you say, you know, who have you asked, who have you polled? Well, that's our job to get out and talk to people in our ward and see where they stand on this position and take phone calls and emails and talk to people.
If we were to ask all the clergy in America their views on abortion and the like, they would not be in agreement among themselves. If we were to ask the medical professionals, obstetricians and gynecologists around the United States, their perspective on this matter, they would not be in agreement among themselves. And yet we, 9 extremely uneducated in that regard, would have the seemingly arrogance to proclaim on behalf of 30,000 people, this is now your official opinion, whether you like it or not. On any topic, whether it's abortion or, let's say, for the sake of this illustration, if the 9 members of this council were of a certain religious persuasion that has been in effect for centuries, it would be against our religion to use contraception of any kind. Now, should we, as a council, declare that the city of Russellville is against contraception? Well, of course not. That would be absurd. There are other religious denominations in this city, and have been around for years, that it is against their religion to have blood transfusions. Now, if the 9 members of this council were filled with members of that persuasion, would it be right for this council to pass a resolution declaring that the city of Russellville is officially against blood transfusions? Well, of course not. That would be absurd.
I think, Mr. Westcott, you're missing the whole point. This resolution is showing our support for life. That child that's not been born, that no one can protect if we don't make a stand for protecting that human life. And you can speculate about blood transfusion. There's nothing in here that says anything about religion. It's about what's morally right to protect the unborn child that began life at conception. And any other speculation about religion or beliefs or education about being an obstetrician or a minister, that's irrelevant to what is the right thing to do in protecting an unborn child. And this does not stop an abortion, but it shows the community our stand against taking an unborn child's life in abortion. And the 60 million that have already been aborted, that might have been someone that had created a new drug for cancer. It may have been someone that created a new way of doing life better for the world, but we'll never know. And the inconvenience that someone may say a pregnancy is for 9 months, that's 9 months. There are thousands of couples waiting for the opportunity to adopt. And so if we can encourage that with this resolution, that a woman will not abort but have the baby and even give it up for adoption, there are those that would treasure that opportunity, as our mayor himself has treasured. And so it's not about religion, it's not about medical procedure, it's about the life that's in the womb that we're trying to show that we're willing to protect.
Does the speaker yield to a question?
I'm sorry?
Do you yield to a question, Rick?
I'm sorry, Mr.
I'm asking if the speaker yields to a question.
You're calling for question?
I'm asking if the speaker yields to a, I want to ask Rick a question.
It's completely open.
Okay. In section 2, where it says that we will promote and protect the dignity and humanity of all persons at all stages of life from conception until natural death. Can you tell me what natural death is?
That would be as a person enters into the last stages of life. It's not, that would be anything other than, I don't know the term for being
Passing
euthanized.
through natural means?
Without being euthanized.
Okay. So then this resolution, in addition to declaring that this city is a pro-life city, it's declaring that we are, as a city, are both taking a stance on the abortion issue, but we are also stating that as a city, we are against the death penalty?
No, not at all.
How is that not how is that not natural death?
Your question, natural death,
Now,
about the death penalty?
You define natural death specifically as not euthanasia.
Right.
Okay, so if you're putting someone to death with the death
Are
penalty.
you speaking about capital punishment?
Under your definition that you just gave right there, how is that not making a stance on on the death penalty?
Well, I don't, there's no intention about entering into the changing of laws of the state as far as the death penalty is concerned. And if you'll see there that it is to promote and protect the dignity and humanity of all persons. And so, no, there's
Until
nothing
natural
intended.
death.
There's nothing intended in there against the death penalty or capital punishment.
Well, how will you define natural death then?
Just as I said, as a person enters into the last stages of life, whatever that might be, if it's at 1 year old with leukemia or 100 years old with heart failure.
Okay. So as long as the death is natural and not caused by man.
That's not the purpose of that statement. The purpose is to protect the life as a person lives, specifically have the right to live their life.
Okay. Another question.
Let's do this. I don't like the debate of the council between opinions. If you have a statement to make in relation to this issue, we'll entertain that, but the question back and forth is not
I
necessarily
mean, what's
fruitful.
the point of this body if it's not to debate the issue?
The issue at this point is to espouse your concerns or issues with the resolution, not necessarily to go after a council member who has a differing opinion.
I'm in no way going after a council member. I'm asking for clarification.
Let me rephrase that. The opinion of each council member is that opinion of their own, and you're certainly entitled to express your opinion and your thoughts in relation to this issue. But going back and forth between council members is not really fruitful for this discussion.
Is it not prudent for this body to be able to ask questions of sponsors of resolutions and ordinances?
Yes, and I will grant you that, yes.
Okay.
But I think we need to keep this, we don't want to be here all night asking point by point by point. So I would ask that if you want to ask a question, Mr. Harrell's willing to answer those questions, that we keep it pretty short in relation to this discussion item.
Okay.
Because you're not going to change each other's opinion, so I just want to make sure that we're having a fruitful discussion here.
So, wait a minute. So you're saying that it's all right to ask questions of the the one and the mayor, correct? No one else?
I want to make sure that we're staying on topic here, that everyone's entitled in the council to state their opinion and state the facts. And if Mr. Harrell's willing to take a question, and as well as am I, that's fine, but we need to keep this very pointed and very succinct rather than to try to go point counterpoint all night long.
Mr. Harrell or Mayor Harris, either one. If it was decided by 5 members of this body that it was the official stance of the city of Russellville that Pope County should be a wet county, would that be prudent for this body to decide?
You're making up situations that are just, we don't know. That's not in our realm. This has been given to us by the Supreme Court of the United States and Arkansas that we can do this. You're making up situations that are not relevant to this.
Point of parliamentary inquiry to the parliamentarian. Mr. Smith, how many votes does it take to pass a resolution in this body?
Takes 5 positive votes.
Thank you. The questions.
So again, if I'm clear, regardless of the emotions attached to this, if this is approved, we as a 9-member board have the ability to decide your medical care, it begins with this one little way. But we're taking that ability to decide whether or not you should have a medical procedure. Right? That is correct.
No, that's
Yes,
not
sir.
correct. As mayor, I don't get involved with these discussions because I'm
But it's
minister.
very specific.
But that is not true, Mr. Westcott. All this resolution does is state that the city of Russellville values human life. There is nothing in this resolution that would prevent anyone from getting the care that they want or think that they need in this city. It's simply a statement in relation to our values within the city of Russellville. in relation to
Okay,
human
so
life.
the fourth whereas, where it says it expresses a preference for childbirth rather than abortion. You know, we don't know the circumstances of every lady. We assume that anyone who has an abortion is because they spent so much time at the Flying J when they ought not have done that. I don't know. But there are medical reasons that are valid medical reasons why such a procedure would take place. As distasteful and abhorrent as it is, there are medical situations where that is the only alternative, and we know that. So we're talking about a medical procedure.
Any other discussion items?
Yes, Mayor. Well, I'm personally 100% pro-life. Father of 5, 3 biological, and then plus a miscarriage along the way. I've had a lot of mixed emotions about this, not whether or not I'm pro-life, because that's not what's at question, whether or not the issue belongs at the local government level. And I had a lot of turmoil on that. To be quite honest with you, Ms. Renfro, your discussion up there a while ago really helped me solidify my position that while this is not law, this is not anything else. If this can help a community organization make a positive impact to a person within the community, then it's the right thing to do at the local level. So thank you for that.
Any other discussion?
And I say this too, it is at a local level, but, you know, how do we think, you know, this is how some things get to the federal level, because nobody stands up in their community, period. I mean, you know, there's a lot of politicians out here that's afraid to say something and take a stand on something. And, you know, that's just I hear people say, well, you know, we shouldn't discuss that at a local level. Well, look what's being discussed now. And maybe if people will stand up and actually, you know, stand up for what they believe for, or I just think us to discuss this on a local level. I'm for discussing it on a local level. You know, I think people should stand up and not necessarily that it's the views of everybody, and I respect that. I respect the views of everybody, but this is just saying, hey, we're a pro-life city that, you know, and I do respect Mr. Westcott on what you're saying too. I respect that. I do. But and I know this is a touchy situation. You know, it is. I mean, you know, we could sit here all night. We could sit here till Christmas and probably discuss it. But
Any other discussion items?
Mayor,
Yes.
does this resolution allow for the expenditure of city funds in this regard?
No, the resolution in and of itself, just a statement.
Okay. Under Act 392, does it not authorize any city that designates itself as a pro-life city to spend city funds in that regard?
I believe that it does. Mr. Smith, have you?
I've looked at it, and it does. I did not put that in because, one, wasn't specifically mentioned, and two, I had some reservations about the expenditure of money, whether that becomes, at that point, crossing into content-neutral territory and violating that. So this was just simply an opinion expressed by the governing body, does not authorize any expenditure, and that way I feel as though if it's passed, it's legally, it would be challenged successfully.
Are there any plans to use city funds to promote this in any way under the Act 392?
Is that a question for me?
Yes, sir.
Not at this time, no.
Not at this time, but
right.
potentially in the future?
Well, I can't speak to the future. I just said not at this time. I have none, and Mr. Smith just said that to spend funds in this manner would be challenged, be questionable, so we would have to get legal interpretations and the council approval before we did that.
Yeah, I can assure you, Mr. Keller, I have no intention of using city funds to promote this any further than what the resolution states.
Any other discussion?
I do have something I'd like to say.
I'm sorry?
I do.
Okay.
I believe that this sets a dangerous precedent for this body. It only takes 5 people up here to pass a resolution. That's all it takes is 5 people. And today we can pass with 5 votes a resolution declaring that we are a pro-life city. And tomorrow, there could be 5 different people up here and make it the official stance of the city of Russellville that we are a pro-choice city. Because that's the precedent that we are setting. It takes 5 votes to pass a resolution. That's it. What if this body decides that the official stance of the city of Russellville is that the Second Amendment is not absolute? It takes 5 votes. What if we decide that the official stance of the city of Russellville is to defund the police? It takes 5 votes. What this does is it substitutes the collective wisdom of 30,000 people and puts it up to the whims and desires of 5 people. 5. We as a community have made our stance on this issue clear by the people we've sent to the State House, by the people that we've sent to Washington, D.C. No one questions what a majority of the people in Russellville believe. But we are a city that is made up of wonderful people with diverse opinions. And it is not the role of government to dictate to the citizens of Russellville what our official stance is on anything like this. That's a personal choice. That is your decision. If there's one thing that I know that the citizens of Russellville hold dear and believe, it's that the government cannot tell us what to think and what to believe and what to act on. That is not the role of government.
Thank you, Mr. Keller. Okay, on the resolution from us, item number 2, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Harrell,
Yes.
Mr. Tripp,
Yes.
Mr. Brown. No. Ms. Caruth,
No.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Keller,
No.
Mr. Westcott.
No.
You have 4 noes and 3 yeses.
Motion fails. Item number 3. An ordinance, consideration of an ordinance amending the property maintenance for the city of Russellville, Arkansas, adopted by ordinance 2124 and for other purposes submitted by Mr. Keller. What's the desire of the council?
Mayor, I move to dispense with the reading requirement, read the first of 3 readings by title only with a short explanation.
Okay, I have a motion to dispense with reading requirements, read by title only for the first of 3 readings with short explanation. Do I have a second? Second, Mr. Brown. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
An ordinance amending the property maintenance code for the city of Russellville, Arkansas, that was originally adopted by ordinance number 2124. And for other purposes, this ordinance, if passed, would amend by adding sections for air conditioning, mold, carbon monoxide, and clarifying interior surfaces in the existing property maintenance code of the city of Russellville.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Item number 4, consideration of a resolution for special use permit to operate a used auto sales business at 3518 South Arkansas. What's the desire of the council?
Motion to adopt.
I have a motion to adopt. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Brown. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5, consideration of an ordinance rezoning certain realty in the city of Russellville, submitted by Barrett and Associate. This is the property on West Main, proposed to be a coffee and ice cream shop. What is the desire of the council?
Mayor, I move that we dispense with the reading requirement, read one time only by title with a short explanation.
Okay, I have a motion to dispense with the reading requirements, suspend the rules, dispense with the reading requirements, read one time only with a short explanation. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
An ordinance rezoning certain realty in the city of Russellville, Arkansas, and for the purposes this ordinance, if passed, would rezone property currently RO to C2 located at 1703 West Main Street.
Motion to adopt.
I have a motion to adopt. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion.
It should be C4. That's what I realized that after I read it. I think I remember that. That could be fixed, but
I thought
it is
I read
supposed to.
where it said C4, did it?
Yeah.
Okay. A C10, instead of C2, that should be C4?
Yes.
Okay. Everyone understand then that the motion to adopt is R0 to C4 on this ordinance?
Yes.
Okay.
And in the paperwork we received, when we talked about it last week, it was C4, is
I
that
thought it was,
correct?
yeah.
I think
I
so.
remember Sarah saying C4.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor, recognizing our need to promote economic development here in the city of Russellville and specifically on West Main, I move that we enact the emergency clause.
I have a motion for the emergency clause. Requires a 2/3 vote. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Brown. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing no objection, motion does pass. The emergency clause. Do I have a motion to, I'm sorry, I had people here to sign up to speak to item number 3. Of course, we only read only, which doesn't allow for comment, and that's why we didn't go through that. We didn't allow you to speak at that time, but in the future, you have an opportunity to come to the agenda prep meeting and speak with the council, or maybe at the next council meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Meeting adjourned. I got a little more leverage here.
No, it's kind of scary.
You okay?
Can you fix that?
Yeah, I say